Right, okay. Good afternoon to all of you. Then we will start the discussion. All of you are warmly welcome to the lecture series of Managing Human Resource in Organizations. Right, so today I will start the lecture series. I am Nishanta Kalupatirana, a senior lecturer specialized in human resource management as well as the head HRM in the Open University. So I contribute for the Open University for a long period in different capacities. Earlier, I was the Director, Regional Education Services, and also Director, Center for Self-Finance in Academic Programs, and also Director for the Career Guidance Unit. And then, at last, I was the Director, Public Relations. And as the head HRM, now I commit for my 7th consecutive year. So I hope that today we will be able to have a fruitful discussion in relation to human resource management as an introductory session. Another colleague, one senior lecturer, Ms. Harini Pereira, also will join with me, right? Especially in the third or fourth lecture. You know that there are around 6 day schools or 6 sessions. I will undertake 2 or 3, and the rest will be undertaken by my colleague, Ms. Harini. Right. So, you know that in the Faculty of Management Studies, there are 4 departments, as this is the departments. Department of Organizational Studies. Your program is presently administrative coordination is doing by the Department of OS. And also the Department of Marketing Management, and also Department of Account and Finance, as well as my department, that is Department of Human Resource Management. So in the faculty, we conduct 3 postgraduate degree programs, right? One of your prestigious program, Commonwealth Executive Master of Business Administration and Commonwealth Executive Master of Public Administration. And also our department, that is Department of HRM, conducts MBA, Master of Business Administration in Human Resource Management, with the collaboration of CIPM, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. And also we have another postgraduate degree, that is MSc, Master of Science in Public Procurement and Supply Chain Management. Right. So especially for the SEMBA program, I contribute for this subject, right? Therefore, right, we will be able to have a good discussion, right? So my sessions will be highly interactive, right? Because you know that managing people in an organization or the human resource management, right, is an area where we want to deal with people, right? With people, with the humanity, right? Therefore, we want to have a good understanding, relationship, right? Or a rapport, right? Then only we will be able to share, right? Something that we have, right? So you are corporate executives, right? From the public and private sector. Therefore, you may have a lot, right? To be shared, right? As well as from our side, there are certain plan areas for our discussions. Therefore, we will be able to have a good discussion. Right. I hope that all of you can hear me well, right? Am I? Navina?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. Good. Right. So we will continue the discussion, right? During the session, the rest of participants will be able to join with us. Yes, good. Good attendance, right? Proceed. There are 21, right? So we'll proceed the discussion, right? So the given, right, or the title of the module is managing human resource, right? So before coming to the main area, we will see, right, the focused area for the discussion today. So at the initial level, we want to have a good understanding about what is human resource management, right, and how it relates to the management process or the process of management. And also we want to have a good understanding about the responsibilities of right human resource managers, right, as well as the people who are engaged in people management in work organizations. And also we want to understand the modern role of HR. So they may have a traditional role. So that's why we want to have a discussion about the modern role, right? Therefore, we will differentiate what was the traditional role, and in the contemporary organization, what would be the modern role of HR, right? Or the human resource practitioners. Just to into the discussion, right? We will see, right? Just as a self-assessment, we will try to refresh our memories about management, right? We'll see what is management, and also we'll see what are the resources available in an organization, right? What type of resources that we want to manage as the management practitioners. And also we will see how to manage organizations efficiently, effectively, and productively, right? Because these are the short term as well as the middle term and even the long term expectations of whatever organization. So in all, the efforts need to be efficient as well as effective, and at the end need to be productive. Therefore, we will see, right, some of your understanding as well as, right, we will start the interaction, right? So as you perceive, right, what is management? Very simple question, just give few ideas, then I will be able to proceed my discussion. Navina or Kumudu or Chulani, anyone can comment? Yeah, Gayatri is there, and Jivani, Robini, right? Ranga also there. Tara, Hafid, Pradeep, yeah. Anyone, please?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes. Yeah,
So,
Navina.
management is a process of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling.
Okay, okay, very good. Good idea, right? Any other views? Any other views? Any other views? Right, okay, good. Right, so Navina refers to the major functions of management, said about planning, organizing, leading and controlling, etc. So management is a process, right, where we practice these management functions for the achievement of organizational goals and objectives. That's fine, right? So what are the different resources available in organizations? What type of resources we need to manage in an organization?
Human and capital.
Human and capital, good, right? People and finance, yeah. People and finance. What are the other resources?
Physical resources.
Physical resources, great. Physical resources. What else?
Even knowledge and expertise.
Even knowledge and expertise, yes, right. Expertise of people, right, need to be managed properly to get the maximum return. Yes.
The data and the IT.
Okay, right. Data, IT, supportive systems, right, which produce information. Yeah. Okay, so information needs to be managed. The system support, especially for the right problem solving and decision making. Yeah. What else? Another precious resource. Yeah. All the organizational expectations are in line with some sort of time frames, isn't it? Time frames in terms of the targets, aims, goals, objectives, right? Or any other business aspirations. Therefore, time, right? Managing time is very much important, right? Even the markets, right? Our competitors or the business rivals may encroach our markets, as well as we want to encroach the shares of others, right? Market shares of others, and want to maximize market share, right? Therefore, many things to be managed, we'll see, right? Right. Then, how to manage organizations efficiently? What do you mean by efficiency? How to be efficient? How to be efficient?
maximizing the output from the
Getting the maximum output. Okay. Good effort. Any other views? Efficiency. What refers to efficiency? As a practitioner, how you are trying to be efficient at your workplace?
Doing things right.
Doing things right, right? Doing things right. Yes. Doing in right way. Doing right way. Doing things right. Very good. As Peter Drucker very correctly said long before, doing things right. Okay, then effectively. How to be effectively? How to be effectively? What do you mean by effectiveness? The other side of doing things right? Yeah. Any views? How you are
Do
planning to
something
be? Yes, please. Please proceed.
Is it like doing the right things?
Okay, very good. Right, doing right thing. Doing right thing, right? In line with the achievement of goals and objectives, right? Or focusing the expected end results, right? Expected end results of the organization, right? Doing right thing, identify the right task, right target, right team, right destinations to be reached, right? Or selecting the right roadmap in terms of the business direction, right? Okay, very good. Then productively, how to be productively? Ultimately, we are trying to be productive, isn't it? So how to be productive? What would be the relationship between this efficiency and effectiveness with the productivity? Any idea? Yeah.
getting maximum output from the given input.
Okay, right. Trying to get the maximum output from the minimum input, right? So then to be productive, from one side, we want to minimize the inputs and we want to maximize the output, right? So minimizing input refers to efficiency, maximizing output refers to effectiveness, right? To what extent we achieve the goals and objectives refers to effectiveness, and how we utilize the resources with the minimum waste, right? Or through eliminating waste refers to efficiency, right? Therefore, when we are trying to be highly efficient and effective, we can be productive. We can be productive, right? So it would be a statistical relationship between input and output. Right? Okay, very good, right? So just to refresh, right, our understanding about these management concepts, right? I just asked those questions because we want to refresh our memories. All right. Now, when we think about management, it may have been defined in different ways, right? Some of the people try to say that management is doing right thing and doing things right, right? Very precise definition, right? And also, management can be defined in terms of managing men and women or people tactfully, right? Unless management is an art of getting things done through other people, right? That is also management. And also when the management functions are practiced in organizations for the achievement of organizational goals and objectives, we can identify management as a process, right, based on different functions, such as planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling, and organizations' available resources to achieve organizational goals in an effective and efficient manner. Therefore, you simply understand that ultimately what we expect as the practicing managers, right, to run the business organizations or drive the organization towards business excellence through being efficient and effective, right? So when we are trying to be efficient and effective, we are able to be productive, right? Therefore, for that purpose, we are using different functions of management. They are presently called as bulk, planning, organizing, leading and controlling. But earlier it was basically planning, organizing, as well as command, right? Even command, right? Coordination, staffing and controlling. There were many functions, but later on with the evolution, presently we identify as 4 functions: planning, organizing, leading and controlling. And also in the functions of management, there was a staffing also, right? In the modern days, we discuss staffing under HRM, right? Therefore, you may see the relationship between this management and the human resource management, right? Basically, the staffing function has been further developed, right, in management as a separate sub-function that is basically as the human resource management. Now, when we take about resources, you can see this, right? Money, men, machines, methods, material, as well as minutes, markets, and information, right? You can see around 7 M and I, right? Money, men, machines, methods, material, right? As well as markets, right? Information, right? And even time, right? That is refers to the minutes. So all those things are the resources that presently we are using, right? Here, money refers to financing or capitalizing, right? Men refers to men and women, right? Today is the International Women Day, right? So we should not forget that men refers to men and women or people, right? As well as material in terms of inputs, as well as time, as well as the markets, right? To offer our products, as well as the methodology or the technology or techniques that we are using, as well as the information, the process data that we are using for solving managerial problems, as well as to take managerial decisions in the processes of management, right? For the realization of organizational goals and objectives. So they are the business aspirations, right? So this is what basically the relationship, right, of the questions that I asked, right? And especially in terms of the efficiency, now you know that efficiency always refers to doing things right, as well as effectiveness refers to doing right thing, right? When we are doing right things, right, doing right things, right, we want to think about the right goals and objectives or the expected end results in terms of the profit, as well as the market share, as well as the cost structure, as well as getting people or hiring people, right, as well as utilizing resources. About all those things we have to be concerned, right? As well as especially in the efficiency, we have to be cost conscious. Always we should try to minimize the cost. We want to manage the cost, right? We want to try to attain the cost leadership as a competitive advantage. Then only we can be highly efficient, right? Therefore, from one side, we want to be efficient in terms of the utilization of resources, and in terms of the effectiveness, we should try to achieve the given targets at the highest level. Then only we can drive the organizations towards excellence, right? So with that, we will continue our discussion, right? What is resource management? What is human resource management? Now I said that it is basically evolved, right, with the area of staffing, right, in the process of management, right? So you can understand that human resource management is basically some sort of practices in relation to managing people, right? Therefore, we understand it as the people management, right? Or managing people in an organization. So with, right, we can see different definitions suggested in literature, right? We can see, right, all the policies as well as the practices involved in carrying out the people or human resources aspects of management positions, right? Including recruiting, screening, training, rewarding, and appraising. So all those things are practicing in your organizations. You know that we have to recruit people, we have to select people, we have to offer the job or give the appointments, right? Then we train them. Initially, we conduct inductions or orientations to familiarize them and to socialize them to the people in an organization. Then we appraise their performance. Then we further provide some sort of training and development opportunities. And based on their performance and the merit, we promote them, employ upward movements, as well as we want to administer their rewards, right? In terms of that, we practice pay management, right? As well as management of incentives, management of allowances, So all those things, even EPF, ETF, right? Calculations as well as retirement benefits, right? Like the pensions or gratuity, right? Etc. So all those things are basically related with these people management practices. Not only that, even listening for their worries or worry factors and providing some sort of solutions to inculcate peace of mind, right? Or to reduce stress among employees, as well as employee transfers and employee discipline administration, right? As well as ensuring employee health and safety, right? So like that, you can understand that there are lots of areas related to managing people. Or when we deal with people, we have to look at about these aspects of people. Therefore, all those areas are basically coming under human resource management. Human resource management. For that purpose, we want to have different types of policies and practices. For example, for the recruitment, we want to have a recruitment policy, right? To give the equal opportunity for all, right? As well as when we conduct training programs, we want to have a training policy. And also in terms of paying, right? Salaries and wages, or incentives and allowances, or bonus and other benefits, we want to have a reward policy, right? So like that, there are certain policies as well as best practices that we carry out in an organization in relation to these human related aspects. So all those things are basically coming under the human resource management. And finally, see that as liquid, right? Human resource management is the function performed in organizations that facilitates the most effective use of people, right? So earlier we discussed about effectiveness, right? So the facilitates the most effective use of people or employees to achieve organizational goals and individual goals. Because in human resource management, we should not look at only about the organizational side. We want to think about the employee side also. From one side, we want to satisfy the organizational interest, as well as we want to satisfy the employee interests, right? So we want to develop our employees, right, in terms of their career advancement or for better prospects, right, in their career, right? Not only while they are working in the organization, even once they retired or when they exit, right, and join for any other organization for better prospects, right? We want to prepare people. Therefore, we want to think about the personal growth as well as career growth of people in an organization, right? Not only to utilize human resource efficiently and effectively to achieve the organizational objectives. While we satisfy the organizational expected end results, from other side, we want to ensure the employee satisfaction also as the job satisfaction, right, where we are focusing on. Therefore, human resource management is focusing about both sides, employer side as well as employee sides, right? Therefore, you can see that for that purpose, again, as I said earlier, the HR department has to perform certain activities. Those activities are called as the functions of human resource management. Functions of human resource management, right? So those functions would be, initially we want to design the jobs. That's how you have got a job title, right? Now you are given a certain designation, right? So that designation is a result of that job designing. Then we want to analyze the jobs, that is job analysis. Under that, you may have got a certain job description, right? And also you have a certain job specification, right? You have a well-defined set of duties, tasks, and responsibilities, as well as limits of authority given, right? So all those things are basically the results of the job analysis. So we want to design jobs, then we want to analyze the jobs, then we want to recruit people, right? Recruit people, right? We want to attract the qualified and competent people, right, for the organizational vacancies, right? So once we recruited, then we want to select, we want to choose the most appropriate candidate for the particular vacancy or for the vacancies. And once we selected, we want to hire or offer the job. We want to prepare the appointment letter and offer the job, right? So once the particular offer is accepted, that employee will enter to the contract of employment, right? From that, he or she will be an employee of the organization. Once we hired, then we want to familiarize the newcomer to our organization. So for that purpose, we are socializing them, right? Our people are introducing to the new employee, and new employee will be introduced to our people in the organization for that socialization and the familiarization purpose. So for that purpose, you may have gone through some sort of inductions or the orientation programs in the organization. And then you will get some sort of a structured training, right, to make you more competent and comfortable, right, in your workplace, to work independently, right, to achieve the given targets, right. So for that purpose, we want to train and develop. Usually the operational staff or the workers are training, and the management staff or the executives are developing, because executives are the future leaders of the organization. Therefore, we want to keep them ready for future to take up the organizational responsibilities. For that purpose, we are conducting training and development. Then we want to evaluate their performance. Right now, we have offered a job. They have entered to a certain contract of employment. We have said what we expect. For that purpose, we reward. Now they want to deliver what we expect. Right. So then we are assessing their performance. So we want to assess or evaluate their performance. So for that purpose, you know that periodically we evaluate performance appraisal, right? And then we want to reward them, right? We want to keep them in the right salary point or the pay scale, right? As well as we want to have some sort of pay increments, annual increments, etc. Then incentive plans, right? As well as some sort of allowances to retain them in the organization. We want to offer a good package, right? So all those things are basically coming under the reward management, right? Or managing rewards. And also, when they are performing better as well as becoming more senior in those positions, we want to upgrade them. We want to push them up in the organizational ladder. So for that purpose, we want to provide the promotions, right? So that is basically called as the employee upward movements, right? So we want to manage that, right? As well as they may have certain worries when they are working, right? So when they have certain worries or grievances, we want to handle their grievances, right? So for that purpose, we want to have a grievance handling procedure, right, in an organization, right? As well as when the employees want to transfer, right, from the head office to a branch, right, or when they want to be rotated in different departments, sections, units, etc. So we want to have that transferring practices, right? Transfer policy should have to the organizations, right? As well as they are supposed to maintain good conduct, good behavior in the organization, right? If not, we want to correct. We want to correct them. So for that purpose, we want to have some sort of disciplinary frameworks, right? So we want to administer the discipline of employees, right? To maintain a certain consistency, right? When they are working in the organization, they want to obey to the organizational rules and regulations, and they want to follow the best practices of the organization, right? So for that purpose, they want to maintain a certain discipline, right, without having any kind of corruptions or any other malpractices in the organization, while they respect or honor to the organizational rules and regulations, right? As well as we want to ensure their health and safety while they are working, right? So all those things are basically related with that HR functional areas. Not only that, right? Employees have some sort of rights. So they like to be gathered, right? They want to have a certain collective voice, and they want to ensure their collective bargaining, right? To win some sort of rights, pay hikes, etc. So for that purpose, we want to allow them to be unionized, right? In some of the organizations, allow it. In some of the organizations, do not, right? But according to labor laws, we want to consider about that, right? Under employee relations. So you can understand that all those areas are the different activities that HR departments are performing. So those activities need to be practiced by the HR practitioners. HR practitioners would be the HR managers, their deputies, as well as assistants, any other senior executives, then the executives, junior executives, HR assistants, etc. So for that purpose, there's a certain HR department, and that HR department is engaged in those activities. So those activities are basically identified in HRM as the human resource management functions or the HR functions. HR functions. So your syllabus or the course outline is in line with that. Therefore, when you study, right, human resource management subject at the end of the discussions, you should have a very good understanding about those HR functional areas. Okay, so they are the learning objectives of these discussions. Okay, so these discussions will be very much helpful for that. And also you want to go through the given course material or the reading material, as well as you want to go through some supplementary materials, right? You want to access to good articles in the LMS we have uploaded, right? As well as relevant, you can find any other interested write-ups, right? To strengthen or broaden your understanding about these areas. Right. So now you may be clear about, right, what is human resource management as well as what is the focus or the scope of HRM. Right. If I say simply, right, HRM is all about, right, in relation to attraction, development, and retention of right talent in an organization. Okay, to do all those things, ultimately, that's what we are focusing. So from one side, we want to attract, then we want to develop, then we want to retain in the organization. Therefore, as the HR practitioners, we have three prime motives, right? One thing is we want to attract the right people, then we want to develop the right talent, competence, etc., and we want to retain the right talent in an organization. Therefore, attraction, development, and the retention would be the prime focuses of HR departments under the human resource management, right? To achieve the organizational goals and objectives. Right, okay. Are you clear about that? Is it clear, the introduction? If you have any question, please ask.
Yes, sir.
All right, okay. Then we'll proceed, right? Now we'll see the history of human resource management, right? Not in depth, right? But just in, or we will see, right? In-depth understanding is required for the HR students, but in your case, as this is only one subject, right? You don't want to have in-depth understanding, but if someone is interested, you can go for the additional readings, right? To broaden your understanding. Because human resource management was started long before. That is certainly in line with the evolution of management thought, right? Evolution of management practices in the world, right? Even before 5000 BC, if you go to the history, you will be able to find some sort of acceptable examples, right? Where people have practiced these things, but they didn't know about that is management or that is human resource management, etc. But without the proper understanding about this HR terminology, they may have practiced that. Because in the long past, right, if you take about before 5000 BC, even in the time of agricultural revolution, you know that people were gathered, people were organized certain activities, people worked together. They had some sort of communications, right? From father to son, right? The knowledge was transferred. Some sort of training, right, was given, right? Some sort of training was given. Some sort of knowledge transferring, skill transferring systems were, right, practiced. But they didn't know about that is management or that is human resource management. Therefore, without knowing, people may have practice. Therefore, you can go to the long history and you will be able to pick some sort of examples on how they have been practiced. Right? Even in the well-known world, right? If you go to Taj Mahal, just think about that. How such a construction may have been done, right? How they may have planned about that. What sort of vision may have, right, to the particular persons who build that, right? Like the Shah Jahan, right? So what should be the vision of that, and how it may have been architecturally designed, right? How the supply chain may have been practiced, right? Materials and other things may have been taken. How all those activities were organized to get the labor input, right? And how it was going for such kind of massive construction, right? So some sort of examples even presently available, right? To come up with some sort of rational questions, right, to stimulate, right, our knowledge, right? So examples are available. Even in Sri Lanka, if you go to Sigiriya or Anuradhapura or any other kingdoms, right, or when you see some sort of ancient places or the ruins, right, you will think about, right, how these things may have been done. One person cannot be done, right, with a certain plan or intention, right? A collective effort may have been taken, the work may have been delegated, responsibilities may have been assigned, right? Some sort of authority may have been given, right, to take decisions, etc., right? And to take the necessary actions to rectify, right, some sort of areas when it is going on wrong, right? So all those things may have been practiced, but they didn't know that they are doing management or they are managing people or human resource management is there. They didn't know, right? Therefore, without having such kind of subject knowledge or understanding, the examples of the history reflect that they have been practiced this management as well as human resource management. Therefore, the development and evolution of HRM has been made through several stages with the influence of a number of forces and factors, right? Few important factors such as the pre-industrial era, right? So you can pick some examples globally as well as locally, right? For your own knowledge purpose, right? And also industrial revolution and the factory system, right? Especially the time of Henry Ford, right? Where it was started, right? The factory system, right? And the standardization were done, right? Maximization were practiced, minimization were practiced. So they also tried to minimize cost and maximize profit and wealth, right? As well as they also had some sort of recruitments and selections. They also had some sort of internal controlling systems, right? So all those factory operations, we can see that they also may have been practiced these things. And also, especially if we take what scientific management and Hawthorne studies, right, introduced by F.W. Taylor, right? If you go through the book in 1911, published by F.W. Taylor on the principles of scientific management, you can see that, right? As well as the book of The Wealth of Nations, right? Written by Adam Smith, right? If you're able to access them, you will see that, right? To what extent they have been knowledgeable about these practices and how they have been done in the history, right? Even before the Industrial Revolution, as well as with or in line with Industrial Revolution, as well as the starting of factory system for the mass productions in the world, right? And also, especially these Hawthorne studies did somewhere in 1924, right, by Elton Mayo, right? Elton Mayo at the Chicago, right? Chicago, right? All those Hawthorne studies were done, right? So just go through, right, about how it has been explained about those findings and how it is relevant, especially for motivating people, as well as especially to ensure the employee job satisfaction, right? Retention of them, right? Those things are basically in line with the Hawthorne studies did by Elton Mayo and his colleagues, as well as the labor movement and the emergence of collective bargaining, right? All those unionizations, right? As well as collective bargaining, as well as later on, right? In our or in your, right, known era, you know about the emergence of personal management. Personal management. Even in Sri Lanka, still in Narayanpeta, you can see that, right? IPM, Institute of Personal Management, right? Recently added C, so now Chartered Institute of Personal Management. Still that institution as the highest recognized professional body in Sri Lanka in human resource management. Still they are named as personal management. I remember even when I was joining for my first job, right, in that organization or in the particular company, right, the HR manager was basically titled as personal manager, personal manager. But in most of the present organizations, you know that, right, that is not there, right? Not as the personal managers rarely may have, right? But most of the organizations, it is coming with different other terms. So emergence of personal management, and then it was evolved as the human resource management, HRM, or human capital management, right? Or strategic human resource management, or strategic human capital management, right? Or as the people management, right? Therefore, when we go through the history, we can see that, right, especially from the factory system, and later on just to administer the workers in an organization and to get done work and pay, right? As well as especially in terms of the welfare administration, then as the welfare management, right? Then as the personal administration, then as the personal management, right? Then as the human resource management and as the strategic human resource management, or as the human capital management and as the strategic human capital management. This subject is evolving. In the future, some sort of other, right, additions will be happen, right? New developments will emerge in the future, right? Therefore, this is how this subject has been evolved, right? For your further understanding, right? You are requested to go through some additional references, right, based on your interest. Right. Now we will see terms, as I said, right? The different terms that we are using for human resource management, right? In the history, when you go through, you can see that, as I said, right? Employment management, as well as personal management and people management, human resource management, human talent management, human capital management, right? So different publications, it will give different titles. But remember that all those areas are basically focusing on this, right, present human resource management practices in relation to the people-related practices. Now, when we take about the differences with the recent personal management and the present human resource management, we can see some sort of slight differences, right? Especially personal management was practiced even up to 1990s, yes, right? And then after late 1990s and from early 2000, we can see especially this human resource management, right? Now, when we see about the difference in the personal management and human resource management, we can see that personal management is mostly reactive, right? But especially in the human resource management, that is more proactive, right? For example, in the reactive, you know that once things happen, we are trying to find the solutions. Once something happens, we are trying to take the remedial actions. But in the proactive measures, we are always thinking ahead and we are trying to be prepared in advance. If something happens, how we are going to face, right? Especially we are focusing on the proactive. For example, right, say that if there's a certain labor shortage in future, right, what we do, what should be our plan? What should be the HR plan for the organization, right? So like that. Now, in the last couple of years, you know that there was a high brain drain, right? Many qualified people left, especially from the banking sector. If there are bankers here, right, they will evidence that. How many people left from the state banks as well as in the private banks? As a result of that, there was a shortage of mid-career professionals, right, to be promoted to the managerial positions, right, in the banks. So banks really struggled, right? And also, especially for the state banks, right, there were certain restrictions for the new recruitments, right? So as a result of that, they were unable to get new employees to the organization. So there was a big shortage of young blood to the state banks, right? So they had to face some difficulties when they deliver, right, customer services, right? Therefore, for those things, we want to be prepared in advance and take the necessary remedial actions, right? So those things are basically addressing under HRM as a strategic partner, right? HR manager is presently representing or commit as a strategic partner, especially during the Corona period, right? You remember that, right? Who played the key role in the organization? Who played, right? HR function was highly important during the Corona period, right? Because everything was planned and executed, right? Employees were taken, the required things were fulfilled, and got done the work as a result of the HR planning during the pandemic period. They were able to ensure the smooth operations and in the organizations. Therefore, currently, HR manager is performing such a strategically important role as a strategic partner. Therefore, you can see that in the previous personal management, it was reactive, but in the present, it is proactive, right? And especially in the personal management, that is employee advocate, right? But presently as a business partner or as a strategic partner, right? Earlier under the personal management, mostly attended about operational issues, but presently mostly concerned about strategically important issues, right? Especially under the personal management, considered people as expenses, right? But presently under HRM, we consider as a precious resource, right? The most valuable resource in an organization is the people, the only live resource in an organization. Right? In rest of all the resources, with the time passage, the value will be reduced. But in your case, right, when you are becoming more age, when you are becoming more senior, with the time passage, your value will be increased. Your value will be increased. Therefore, with the time passage, the value of the human resource is increasing, right? Not like in the previous cases. So therefore, in the personal management, considered people as expenses, as a cost center, right? But now we consider it as a resource or an asset, right? Or a source of capital, which needs to be capitalized and get the maximum return from the people towards the organization, right? Especially under the personal management, it was basically focused for limited traditional areas like recruitment, selection, right? All those things. But especially under the human resource management, go beyond traditional areas, right? And especially under the personal management, it was enforced discipline, right? Very strict, very serious, right? Especially hiring and firing, you know that, right? Those terms were used in that time. Just hire, if they are unable to deliver, fire them. Very strict, right? But presently, we are trying to get the right people, right? Especially with the right attitude or the right mindset. And we are trying to train them and impart skills. And then we are trying to reward them well. We are trying to create a certain pleasing work environment or a working atmosphere within the organization. And we are trying to retain them in the organization in long run, right? Therefore, retention is one of the prime focus in the present organizations. Therefore, especially we expect from the employees to be self-disciplined rather than having a certain external control by the supervisory personnel. We provide all those inductions and training, developments and mindfulness programs and everything. And we are trying to take some sort of measures to cope up stress, etc. So from all those things, we are trying to have a certain totally developed employee in an organization. So when someone is totally developed, he or she will be physically fit, will maintain the physical fitness as well as the psychological growth or the psychological development, as well as especially the spiritual development. So all those things, head, hand, and heart, all those three H's will be focused in the employee training and development processes. As a result of that, we are trying to have such kind of totally developed employees in an organization who are trying to have that self-discipline, rather than trying to have some sort of external supervisors and control. So this is what basically we are focusing, right? Therefore, from the enforced discipline under the personal management has been shifted to self-discipline under the human resource management. Therefore, you can see how it has been developing during the particular periods in the past. Right. Now you may be clear about the different terms, right, used for human resource management, as well as the difference between the personal management and the presently discussed in human resource management. Any question? Any question? Any unclear point, please?
No, sir.
Okay. Right. Then we'll continue. Now you know this management process, right? Just as a slide, right? I would like to show that. So planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. These are the present management functions. Earlier I said that, right? Planning, organizing, and then after developing the organizational structure, here this is about the preparing the future plans, getting ready in advance for future, right? Engage in strategic thinking or strategic planning, etc. Then developing the structure, right? And deciding the departmentalizations, right? And identifying the key positions, and then hiring people, staffing, and then providing leadership and communication, and then taking the controlling measures. So this was the traditional management process. Now staffing has gone out, right? And developed as a human resource management, as I said. Right. Now you can see here, right? Human resource management at work, what we do. I said about attraction. So we want to acquire the required people, right? So that is about attraction, employee procurement, right? So acquisition, then we want to train them, right? So we are trying to make the employee more confident, right? Competent and comfortable. 3 C's are addressing in training, right? We want to make them confident, we want to make them competent, and we want to make them comfortable in their jobs, right? So with the peace of mind, they should be able to work in the workplace, right? To realize the given targets or to complete the given responsibilities as organization expect, right? At that level. So the performance standards needs to be maintained, right? Then the appraisal, that is evaluation of performance. Then compensating, right? Rewarding. Then labor relations, maintaining healthy relationships between the employer and the employee. Then we want to ensure health and safety. Then employee fairness, right? Equal opportunity for all, right? No discriminations, no harassments, right? All the people should be treated, right, with justice, right? So these are some sort of major concerns about this human resource management at work. Right. We will see personal aspects of a manager's job, right? Especially when we take about these personal aspects of a manager's job, we can see that, as I said, conducting job analysis. These are different areas. We will discuss each topic in detail, right? This is only an introduction, okay? As I said earlier also. So conducting job analysis, then planning labor needs and recruiting job candidates, then selecting job candidates, right? Then orienting, right? And training new employees, then managing wages or the salaries, right? Or the rewards, then providing incentives and benefits, then appraising performance, then communicating, right? Then training and development, right? Then building employee commitment. And these would be some sort of mistakes, right? If HR people are doing, right, at the workplaces, right? Hire the wrong person for the job. Sometimes you may have seen that, right? Now all of you are engaged in different organizations, right? Just think about whether you have taken the right person to the right job. Right? This was said by F.W. Taylor. F.W. Taylor once said that you want to match the candidate with the job, not with your personal expectations, as the people who take the selection decisions at the interview panels or the interview boards. And we should not treat or select the people, right, based on the university or the college background or the residential area or from the own religion or the race, right? Irrespective of those personal related factors, always we want to match the employee or match the candidate with the job. With the job. With the job mean really the content of the job. Content of the job mean really the tasks, duties, and the responsibilities need to be performed as the job holder. As the job holder, right? So that is the job, right? So match the particular candidate with the job, with the job. So candidate should possess the set of skills, the required professional and the academic attainments, and the required experience, and the required talents, or the mindset. So we want to compare that, right? Compare that. And based on that, we want to select the right person to the right job on right time. If it was not done, it will be a failure. It will be a mistake. In most of the organizations, you may have seen that organizations suffer because of those poor selections of some sort of managers. Therefore, managers want to be responsible for that. Managers are not the owners of the organization. Managers are the agents, right? Principals are the owners. Principals are the owners. That would be shareholders of the company, right? A board may have been appointed to assist. There may have management staff. So managers need to take the right decisions, unless it is considered as a mistake or a failure. So hire the wrong person for the job. And experiencing high turnover. If the employees are intended to leave or exit from the organization for better prospects, that is not good for the respective organization. Any organization should not experience a higher level of turnover. This turnover refers to the labor turnover or the staff turnover. How many people leave the organization within a certain specific time period, right? There are certain organizations you may have seen that people leave. And have you people not doing their best, right? If the employees are not making their best possible contribution towards the organization, because that is the whole purpose. We should try to get the best possible contribution from the employees towards the organization to get the maximum output. You set some sort of performance standards, and we like to see that employees are go beyond the particular performance standards, or at least reach. Especially in the bureaucratic setups, you may have seen that people are always trying only to meet the particular given standard, right? Very rare people are trying to be outstanding performers. Very rare, who go beyond the given expected level, right? We truly need such people, right? Who are trying to deliver more, right? Therefore, have people not doing their best, then waste time with useless interviews, right? So what is the time consumption and the efforts taken for recruitments and selections, right? So what is the success rate of selection? How many people were able to be selected as the right persons, right? And how many people were able to identify as the pool of candidates? So to what extent your recruitment message has gone to the people and attracted towards the organization? When you advertise, do you get only few CVs, few candidates? Or do you get many more? If you get many more, you will have a good choice, right? You will have a good choice. So you will be able to have a certain selection process. You will do some sort of short listing. Then if it is required, you will call for a certain selection test or qualifying test. And you will have some sort of background investigations. And then you will call for a certain preliminary interview or the initial interview. And then for the secondary and final interviews, you will seek the reports, etc. So different types of methods will be able to follow, and you will be able to have the right persons through a certain refinery system. So for that purpose, your organization should be one of the most attracted or most wanted organizations where people are prepared to apply and join. Right? So for that purpose, right, waste time with useless interviews. Then have your company in court because of discriminatory actions. If it is, that is not good for the organizational image. If there are such kind of situations or instances, it will be a damage to the image of the organization or damage in the corporate image. Then have your company cited, right, for unsafe practices in terms of employee accidents. Are they high or zero or minimum, right? So I want to see, have some employees think their salaries are unfair and inequitable relative to others in the organization. So whether your organization is having a certain reward policy, right? Equal opportunities are given. Equal opportunities are given. And whether they are practicing the internal equity in terms of deciding the salaries, as well as whether they are following the external equity in terms of the industrial rates. For example, if we take about banks, in the banking industry, may have ABCD banks, right? So all the banks should maintain a certain agreeable levels. If someone is paid well compared with others, then the organizations which are less paid, right, those employees would be demotivated and may have a certain intention to join, right, other organization which has better prospects or better rewards. That's how we want to think about the internal equity as well as external equity. So organizations want to honor for them. If not, it will be a mistake, failure of the organization. Allow a lack of training to undermine your department's effectiveness. So what is the training policy? What is the training budget? When they are going for certain cost-cutting strategies, does the organization first cut the training budget? There are such organizations, you may have seen that, right? When the organization is going for a certain cost-cutting strategy, first they are looking at the welfare budget and the training budget. First cut that. That is not the right way, right? Because we want to address the welfare of people. And also we want to train and retrain our staff, because that is the most valuable resource in the organization. Our long-term success depends on people in an organization. Therefore, we want to have those positive assumptions about people. Then commit any unfair labor practices, the organization, labor department cases, right, or labor tribunal cases, right, going for labor courts, etc. So they are some sort of not the good signs for the organizations, right? Therefore, we have to take necessary steps to eliminate all those things. Then we'll see some sort of basic HR concepts. Okay, the kind of managing, right? What we expect from HRM is getting good results. Getting good results. Good results in terms of what? In terms of the performance outcomes of employees. Performance outcomes of employees. At the individual level, in terms of the individual job performance. At the team or group level, in terms of the group performance or team performance. At the unit, department, sectional or branch level, the particular collective performance levels, branch performance, or the divisional or departmental performance. Then at the organizational level performance. Right. Therefore, always we have to focus on result-oriented approach. HRM is such result-oriented approach. So our purpose is getting results. So HR creates value by engaging in activities that produce the employee behaviors that the company needs to achieve its strategic goals. So what are these strategic goals? Right? In terms of the profit before tax, or profit after tax, or in terms of improving operational efficiency, or in terms of attaining cost leadership, or in terms of improving or enhancing market share, or in terms of enhancing the customer satisfaction, or in terms of minimizing customer complaints. So these are our expectations of the organization, right? So for that purpose, HR people need to prepare the supportive staff in an organization, in each department, section, unit, team, etc. So that's why all those HR functions are there, from the designing jobs up to the end of handling grievances, or ensuring employee welfare, or administering discipline, or up to the employee layoffs, whatever, right? So in that, right, all those expectations are basically focusing on these organizational results. So the whole purpose is getting results. right? Now we will see, right? Now, still we are in some sort of basic areas, right? Basic areas, right? We will see now line and staff aspects of HRM. Because you may have heard that, right? There are certain line managers as well as staff managers. There are certain line activities as well as staff activities. There is line authority as well as staff authority, right? Therefore, you want to differentiate these things. At the initial level, certainly, personal management, the personal management time, mostly it was considered as a staff function. So the personal managers were basically considered as staff managers. But with the development of human resource management, right, now it is becoming a strategic role. Therefore, now HR manager has a certain line responsibility also, right? It is considered as a line function also. Therefore, you want to have a clear understanding about these things, right? Now we'll see. Who are these line managers? Yeah, line managers, right? A manager who is authorized to direct the work of subordinates is responsible for accomplishing the organization's task. For example, if we take about the managers who are engaged in the direct organizational activities, production, marketing, finance, etc. So all those things are directly related with the achievement of organizational goals and objectives. So they were basically identified as line activities. And the managers who were held or performed these line activities and the line responsibilities were called as line managers in that time. Right? Production, marketing, finance, right? Admin, etc. Right? Staff manager, a manager who assists and advise line managers. Right? Staff managers provide some sort of advocating role. Advocating role, providing some sort of instructions, ideas, right? Advising, right? In relation to the employee hiring, right? Or promotions, etc. Now, for example, if we take about staff selections, right? You think about selections, promotions, etc. Who takes the ultimate decisions? Can a selection board lead by only the HR manager? No, right? There will be, right, general manager or a DGM or a AGM, right, or a MD, CEO, chairman. Like that, there will be a certain senior authority figure, right, who is having some sort of line responsibility in relation to the overall organizational work, right? HR manager will basically give some sort of recommendations, will give some sort of ideas, but final authorizing of the decision, right, will be taken by the top level management, top level personnel, who is having a certain overall responsibility in an organization. That's how it is happening, right? So you may understand the difference, right? And the line manager, who is authorized to direct the work subordinate, right? And especially line managers, HRM responsibility is also there, right? Especially placing the right person on the right job and starting new employees in the organization, like conducting orientations, right? So HR manager has to conduct those things, right? Then training employees for jobs that are new to them, right? And improving the job performance of each person, right? And gaining creative cooperation and developing smooth working relationships, as well as interpreting the firm's policies and procedures, as well as controlling labor costs, and also developing the abilities of each person, right? Because we will get able people. Once we get some sort of able people, line managers should be able to make them capable, right? For that purpose, they want to coach, they want to guide, they want to train, sometimes need to be counseled, right? Counseling is required, sometimes mentoring is required. So all those things are some sort of ways to make people more capable. Therefore, we'll have some sort of unable people need to be able people need to be capable, right? So for that purpose, the line managers have some sort of HRM responsibilities when they are working with their helping staff in a certain department, section, unit, or a branch, right? So developing the abilities of each person and creating and maintaining department morale, right, as well as protecting employees' health and physical condition, right? So these are some sort of line managers HR responsibility. Then we'll see further human resource managers duties. Right now, human resource manager has to attend for all those things, right? In the current context, right? From one side, line function, line authority, right? That is the implied authority based on the organizational position, right? Defined in the organizational structure. It can be seen, right? In terms of managing the particular staff within the HR department. I said that there may have some time, say DGM HR, right? Or AGM HR, right? Or chief manager HR, or manager HR, or deputy manager HR, or sometime senior executive HR, or executive HR, or HR assistant, or HR training. So in different positions, people will have in the HR department. So the HR manager has that line responsibility in relation to that. And then the coordinative function, functional authority, right? To provide some sort of ideas for other departments, units, etc. Then staff functions, staff authority, right? As an innovator, as well as employee advocacy, right? To provide the required informations, instructions, right? Counseling, etc. to advocate employees. Therefore, HR managers involved in this line function, as well as coordinative function, as well as in staff function. When the people need for whatever department, right, or section, HR department should attain and do the necessary coordinating activities for hiring, training, performance evaluations, etc. So that is basically coming under this coordinative function. Therefore, you want to remember that HR managers' duties are basically threefold, right? Line function, coordinative function, as well as staff functions. Right. Now we will see in HRM, again, there are some sort of specialties. Even in the broader area of HRM, there are certain specialists. For example, you may have seen sometime, right, recruitment specialists earlier. Now we call it as talent acquisition specialists, right? Talent acquisition specialists. So different organizations are using different types of terms for those things, right? This is very much important. So especially in the human resource management, right? There may have recruiters as well as EEOs and job analysts and the compensation managers, then the training specialists, then the labor relations specialists. These things would be clear, right? Recruiters, job analysts, compensation managers, training specialists, right? As well as labor relations specialists. And who are these EEO coordinators? Any idea? Any idea? Who are these EEO? In the organization, certainly, employees should have the equal opportunity, right? In terms of the hiring, in terms of the promotion, in terms of the reward, in terms of the transfers, employee transfers. No one is supposed to be discriminated or ill-treated or harassed, right? Therefore, being the employees, they should be treated equally in terms of hiring, as well as training, right? As well as rewards, transfers, about all those things. Therefore, for that purpose, sometimes in some of the organizations, there are equal employment opportunity coordinators. Equal employment opportunity coordinators who look at that part. Employee justice and fairness, right? Whether they are treated equally, right? And that part needs to be coordinated by a separate specialist. In some of the countries, certainly there are equal employment opportunity commissions, right? Who is committed for that, right? Committed for that to ensure that, right? Equal recognition, equal treatment for all the employees in an organization. No one should be ill-treated, right? Therefore, for that purpose, right, in our context, very limited, right? In our context, very limited, right? Others we can see in general or in common, right? But there is an area that is equal employment opportunity, coordinators or specialists, etc. Right. Now, when we put the HR, right? HR, right? In the organizational structure, we can see in different ways. Have a look, right? Here you can see, right? This is taken, right? The source is given, right? You can see here, right? Vice President, Human Resources. From the Vice President, Human Resources, you can see how it has been basically divided into many areas, right? Policy development and analysis and administrative support, right? As well as total compensation and wellness of employees, as well as system support and data integrity, as well as employment service center, and also organization and employee development, right? So for all those areas, especially in the large scale organizations, we can see such kind of tall structures, which has been concerned for all those different areas. But in our context, as I said earlier also, right, may have certain limited areas, especially in the organizational structure for HR. In a small organization, we can see like this. There will be human resource manager, right? And there will be some sort of assistant human resource manager, right? Or HR assistant, or HR trainee, or HR coordinator, right? And office aides, right? So it depends, right, on the size of the organization, right? We will see the change in environment of human resource management, right? Especially changes and trends in human resource management we can see in line with some sort of globalization trends, technological trends, as well as trends in the nature of work, as well as in workforce demographic trends. So based on those things, especially with the global pressures or the international pressures, as well as technological advancement, especially in this digital era, right? The HR department role will be changed. New title will come, right? The duties and tasks and responsibilities need to be redefined, right? Because the job role will be different, especially with the AI, right? And developments, all those things are getting changed. And trends in the nature of work, right? It would be basically work from home or work from anywhere, right? Anywhere, right? Now the trend is different, right? Therefore, in relation to the nature of work also will be different. But in the past, you know that they were basically coming under different categories like the permanent or contract or temporary or casual, right, etc. But rather than that, again, it has to be defined in different ways based on the mode of work, right? Whether it is work from home, right, or whether work at the particular office place, work on site, right, or physical work, because organizations are highly concerned about the cost structure. They are trying to manage or control cost, right? Therefore, thinking in line with that, with the support of advanced technology, now the work modes will be different. Therefore, they also directly influence on HR department's role. So based on that, they want to revisit all those things and plan according to the current developments. And then the workforce demographic trends, right? Employees side, right? Workers, right? Workers also now happy to work from home, right? Or work in distance, right? So the trends would be different, right? Now, being in Sri Lanka, you know that there are many people who are working for the overseas organizations, right? In different fields, right? Some of the people are doing 2-3 jobs, right? So the trend is quite different. Therefore, all those globalization trends, technological trends, trends in the nature of working, as well as workforce demographic or the people-related trends, all are getting changed. According to that, there should have certain necessary changes in the HR department's role also. With that, we can see that the change in role of human resource management, right? Especially strategic human resource management as a separate topic we are discussing in the future discussions, and also creating high performance work systems or creating high performance work teams, as well as measuring the HRM team's performance and also managing the HR scorecard process. So these areas will be discussed separately as separate topics. Okay. Right. Any question up to that? If you have any unclear point up to that, you can ask, please.
No, sir, not personally. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Others? Any questions? Gayatri? Chulani? Are you there? Rubini? Pradeep?
No
Ranga?
questions, sir.
No questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Question.
Are you what we discussed so far?
Yeah, it was clear.
Right. Fine. Do you want to have a short break? We started exactly at 1:30. Yes, 1:30. Now 2 minutes to 3. Around what time you want to have a short break? Is it at 3 or 3:15? Suggest me, please. No need to have a break? Okay. It seems that you like to continue. Is it?
Shall we have till 3:15, sir?
At 3:15. Okay, sure.
Yes, sir.
We'll have. Right. Then we'll have a short break at 3:15. Then we'll continue the discussion. Okay. We'll focus on this high performance work teams, right? Now, when we take about high performance work system practices, right, especially we have to consider about the employment security, right? Employment security, right? As well as especially for these high performance work teams, we want to have selective hiring, right? Right persons with the right mindset need to be hired to the right teams. And also we want to provide some sort of extensive training, right? Then only they will be able to work as independent or autonomous work teams, right? To make them, right, function as autonomous work teams, that comprehensive training is essential. And also self-managed teams, right? Or decentralized decision making, right? And also reduced status distinctions, right? Rather than the particular job titles, designations, etc., right? So they will work as a, right, team, right? Team, right? Therefore, power distance is very low. No status gaps, right? All the people will be treated equally. There will be a team leader, right? Team leader is not basically considered as an authority figure. Rather than considered as an authority figure, team leader will be basically respected as the first among equals. First among equals, right? Therefore, in a high performance work team, all the people will be treated equally, right? They have some sort of complementary skills, right? Who are able to share among each other, but in terms of the capacity, right? They would be mostly equal levels, right? Therefore, power distance would be very less, reducing status distinctions as well as information sharing. All the people should be equally informative, right? Should have the access and being informed, right, about the things to be done, right? About the progress as well as the areas to be addressed, about all those things. And then the contingent, pay for performance, right? Especially performance-based reward system, right? In the high performance work system, that is one of the major motivator, right? So higher the performance, higher the return. Lower the performance, lower the return, right? That is the way, right? Therefore, people will be motivated, right, to ensure that collective or team spirit, right, and maximize the performance outcome. So when they are maximizing the performance outcome, they should be additionally get something, should have some sort of appreciations, financially and non-financially. Both need to be considered. Therefore, we can think about the what are the financial rewards and what are the non-financial rewards. From both sides, their contribution and the commitment need to be appreciated. That is the idea, right? So, contingent pay for performance rewards, right? And also transformational leadership. This is very much important. What is transformational leadership? The team leader that I said earlier as the first among equal, right? First among equals should provide the transformational leadership. And the leadership should be shared. Should be shared. That is also very much important. How you see a transformational leader? Now there are different types of leaders, isn't it? you may have discussed under different leadership styles. What are the different styles? There are autocratic leaders, as literature suggests, right? Well-known examples you can pick: autocratic leaders, right? Democratic leaders, isn't it? Laissez-faire leaders, transactional leaders, isn't it? Situationalized leaders, transformational leaders, right? Servant type leadership, instructional leadership, entrepreneurial leadership, vision leadership style, right? Visionary leaders, and also sustainable leaders under sustainable leadership style, spiritual leadership, right? So there are so many leadership styles where you are able to be addressed, right? In the second semester in your dissertation, right, would be one of the very interesting area, leadership, right? Leadership is a very, very interesting area where you are able to read a lot, right, broaden your understanding, and do a nice research and make a very important contribution to the body of knowledge from your dissertation. Okay, right. So what is transformational leadership? How you identify a transformational leader? Any
A
idea?
leader who motivates and inspire the employees
Okay, very good. Right. Any other?
in order
Yeah.
to enhance their personal goals as well as the organizational achievements.
All right. Okay, very good. Right. A leader, someone who motivate and inspire his work team for achieving the organizational goals as well as their personal goals. Any other? Any other views? Any other views?
Encourage innovative ideas from the team.
Encouraging innovative ideas. Very good. That is called as intellectual stimulation. Intellectual stimulation. Right? Always transformational leaders are trying to stimulate their work team, right? To get some sort of new ideas, new contributions, right? So providing some sort of stimulations, right? To come up with new intellectual inputs. Encouraging to think, encouraging to be creative, always guiding to think out of the box, right? Always trying to change the patterns, models, practices through reforming, reprocessing, re-engineering. In management, we do that. Reprocessing, reforming, that is reforms, right? Or as reforms, you know that, as well as re-engineering. So always thinking about novel things rather than just continuing the conventional or the traditional practices. Transformational leaders are always requesting to come up with new ways and means, trying to transform, trying to change the content or the context positively. Okay, that is one concern. And also, especially, always have a certain individualized attention about each and every team member. Individually attend, remember the name well, understand his or her capacity, identify the hidden talents, always encourage to be further brush up. That attention is there. And also having a certain vision or a strategic direction, thinking about future and taking actions accordingly. Therefore, transformational leaders are always good models for the organizations who is trying to transform the teams as well as organizations. Especially in these high-performing work teams, we need such kind of transformational leaders who are trying to transform. Then the measurement of management practices, right? So should have some sort of objective type criteria, not subjective. Objective type criteria to assess the progress. Because of in management, we have some sort of expected levels. They are the aspirations or the intentions, right? Or the goals and objectives or the vision and mission, right? So we have some sort of expectations. That is the expected level. Then the performance evaluation, we identify the actual level, right? If there's a certain gap, that gap needs to be bridged. So should have a bridging strategy. How to reach the expected level of performance. Oh, go beyond that. Should be strategized. Therefore, for that purpose, we want to measure the management practices. We want to measure the efforts taken, whether we are moving ahead successfully or whether we have been stuck, no progress. Why? Where it has gone wrong? What are the bottlenecks? Needs to be identified. So for that purpose, we want to measure the effectiveness or the success or the progress of the efforts taken by managers as the management practices. Then emphasis on high quality work. Always should focus on improvement of quality. No end. The continuous improvement of quality is required. Always should encourage the team members to be better off tomorrow than today. That inspiration should be inculcated among the hearts and minds of team members. Then only they will be hard worked, and always try to improve their work processes. As a result of that, more quality output will be delivered. That's how we want to maximize the quality of the products and services that we are offering. So think about your own work organizations. I don't ask the names of your organizations, but you think about how it is happening in my organization. What is the current practice? Do we have some sort of high-performing work teams? Are our leaders practicing like that? Are we always trying to make our best possible contribution to our team? Are they equally treated? Are they treated or rewarded based on their performance? If not, what are the bottlenecks? Where it has gone wrong? What I can do for the improvement of that? What is the possible contribution that I can make in my organization for the improvement of that? Need to be thought. That is the purpose of reading for these MBAs. Right? So the MBA journey will be able to shape up your career, change or transform your thinking pattern or the mindset. And you should get some sort of stimulation or inspiration or a certain additional energy to do something in your organization. Then only you will be able to further practice in future also. Therefore, when you learn something newly in your MBA journey in different subjects, try to practice them. Right? When you practice only, you will be able to remember in long run. Unless just you may listen, right? And again you may repeatedly listen when the examination is close, right? Or getting closing examination. Sit for the exam, will earn a good passing, right? And will get the MBA certificate. Right? Once you got the MBA certificate, right, it will be okay. But rather than that, the retention of MBA will be the difficult thing. Because you are going to be mastered in business administration. Right? So when you are trying to be mastered in business administration, right, organization and others expect from you that contribution. So you want to deliver that. Right? So as a MBA holder, you want to contribute to the organization. Massive development should be done. This is basically practiced in the long past from the MBAs. So that's why MBAs were designed to prepare or to shape up the mid-career professionals to be general managers and CEOs. That is the whole purpose of when designing the MBAs in the past. So the people who are coming from the mid-career should be able to gain that knowledge, right? And effort should be taken as an initiator at the own workplace. Try to practice what you learn in the organization. So theoretical knowledge should try to put in practice. Unless at least you want to use this theoretical knowledge as a lens From that lens, you can see how the practice is, right? Where it has gone wrong, right? So your research interest also will be gone up, right? Therefore, always try to practice what you learn. You will be able to retain in your memory long run. And also, you will be an outstanding performer in your organization. Therefore, emphasis on high quality work is very much important. For that purpose, we always should try to be better off tomorrow than today. That is the simple idea that you want to be injected among the hearts and minds of your team members. Then we'll see what are the benefits of a high performance work system or a high performing work team, right? When we have such kind of high performance work system in an organization, you will be able to generate more job applicants because such organizations are performing well and thrilling in the market. Such organizations will be delighted in the market because they are highly efficient and effective. For example, if we take about top 20 companies in Sri Lanka, just think about ranking, right? Unless blue chip companies listed in Colombo Stock Exchange, CSC, in these days may have some sort of declines, but you know that before 1 week or 2 weeks, market performed well. Market performed well. Now there's a slight drop, right, with what is happening in Gulf. So, however, there are certain top 20 companies in Sri Lanka, right, who maintain high performance in those organizations, right? So, for those organizations, sometime when they advertise, they will get, right, more candidates. They will get more applicants. How it will be important? I said earlier, because when we get more applications and more CVs, we will get a better choice. Better choice. We will be able to choose the most appropriate candidate for the particular job, right? Then screen candidates more effectively. You will be able to screen the candidates more effectively. Then provide more and better training. When you have such kind of high performing work systems, training also will be strengthened. Then link pay more explicitly to performance, right? Performance based, right, pay systems. Then provide a safer work environment, healthy work atmosphere, right, can be created. Then produce more qualified applicants, right, per position. You will be able to attract, right, highly attained people academically and professionally, right? And hiring based on validated selection tests. Then you will be able to have some sort of justifiable selection methods. Because under the Right to Information Act, you know that now people are questioning why I was rejected, why I was not called for the interview, right? How you were taken that person, right? What is the difference between his performance and my performance, right? So asking all those informations, not like earlier. Therefore, in the selection processes, we want to go for some sort of justifiable selection decisions. Therefore, we want to have some sort of valid selection, right, methods. Validation is very much important. Then providing more hours of training, right? Number of hours per employee for training is very much important, right? So if you go through the annual reports of leading companies, you will be able to see that. Unless you think about in your organization, right? What is the number of training hours per employee, right? Just see that. And also see what is the investment on training that your company is doing and a training budget. Then conducting more performance appraisals, right? Performance appraisals, right? Very much important because that is an opportunity where employees are able to identify their strengths and the weaknesses. And also they will be able to trace the gaps. And also they will get a guide to bridge the gap. Right? Therefore, in that context, we want to conduct the performance appraisals in a proper way. Right? So the strengths need to be communicated. Weaknesses should be pointed out as the areas for development. Rather than saying that you are not good, you are weak, etc. Rather than using that negative terminology, you should be able to suggest, okay, these are some sort of important areas for your further development. You want to attend for these areas, right? You further study these areas. you consult someone, right, with the proper nomination, right? Get some ideas, instructions, follow, right? Methods, techniques, best practices, etc. So these performance appraisals should provide such kind of guidance for the people who are unable to meet the expected level of performance. That is very much important, right? Especially at the performance appraisal interviews, we can do that. Even in the performance appraisal methods, we can incorporate that. That is the feedback. That is the feedback that we want to provide. But you think about whether you get that feedback properly, right? How you get the feedback, right? Sometimes are we going through very fair and justifiable performance appraisal? Some people complain that is biased, not rated properly, not rated. Halo and horns effects are there, right? So different kind of poor practices are basically happening in the performance appraisal methods. So they should be justifiable. One of the most important things is, especially in the performance appraisal processes, the performance appraisee should get a proper feedback about what are the good areas and what are the areas for the necessary development, right? With the proper guidance or the instructions. This is very much important, right? So when we are having such kind of high performance work system, we will have such kind of high performance work culture, right? So that culture is basically connected with these work systems, right? Interconnected. Culture influence on work system, work system will influence to change the culture, stay in the culture, right? Because culture is not a fixed one. It is not a constant, right? It will be changed gradually, right? It is evolving. It is evolving. Therefore, with the right leadership and with the right or best HR practices, when we are going for high performance work systems, the organizational culture or the corporate culture also will be gradually changed. Okay, this is what basically we want to do. Okay. Right. With this, right, we will go for a short break. Right. 3 is 19. Yeah. So we will see, right, some sort of HR metrics. Have a look. You will be able to calculate these things. Absence rate, cost per hire, as well as HR expense factor, and time to fill, right? For example, total days elapsed to fill job requisitions, right? As well as turnover, employee detachments, What we expect is the attachments. So turnover rate reflect the separations, right? Separations, legal and psychological detachments of employees. That is not a good thing, right? That is basically employee turnover, staff turnover, legal separations. Employees are divorcing from the company. So number of separations during the month will be divided by average number of employees during the month and into 100. So like that, we are able to use different kind of HR metrics, right, to identify the absence rate, as well as cost per hire, HR expense factor, time to fill, as well as turnover rate. Right? And it also basically used for that, right? We will have a separate detailed discussion on this topic also, right? Most probably Ms. Harini will do HR scorecard as well as strategic human resource management area. I will guide her. So, right, especially in relation to have some sort of quantitative standards, right, for the metrics. Especially we want to measure the employee's behavior, right? Right. So from this, we will start after a short break. Okay. Now the time is 3:20. We will start exactly at 3:35. Is it okay? 15 minutes? 15 minutes break. Navina, Gayatri, Kumdu?
Yes, sir. That would be
All
great.
right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. Did all join back?
I'm here, sir.
All right. What about others? Others?
We have joined, sir.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, here.
All right. Right. Then we will start again. Right. Just we'll see what are the human resource managers' proficiencies. What are the competencies? What are the required key attributes, right, to be a good human resource manager? Any idea? Any idea? Now you know the HR manager's role, right? So what type of role has to be performed, right, was discussed. Therefore, with that understanding, can you suggest what are the important proficiencies? Yeah, what type of competencies are required?
Leadership,
Leadership, very good, right? Leadership is very much important. Yeah.
knowledge sharing,
Knowledge sharing, good. Leadership, knowledge sharing. What else?
being unbiased,
Being unbiased. Yes. Independent or unbiased. Very good. Okay. Will you, right? One is HR manager should be highly professional in the respective field. Professional mean really should be aware and follow the best practices of human resource management and in relation to the overall role of HR manager, right? Therefore, especially in relation to all the HR functional areas, should be able to professionally handle, right? Therefore, HR manager want to maintain that professionalism, right? That is very much important in relation to the particular job role to perform the given job successfully, right? In relation to the labor laws, right, as well as the global, right, trends, as well as especially in relation to the employees' expectations, as well as in relation to the best practices of the world, right? With all those things should be basically updated, right, by the HR manager. Then the business proficiencies, right, should have a very good understanding about the business aspirations of the organization, the strategic direction of the organization, the product or the services offered, and the markets, right, that they are catering, as well as the particular market segments or the customers and their expectations, customer behavior, right, as well as the business rivals, their rival strategies, right, about all those things. HR manager want to have a certain understanding, right? That this is very much important. Unless we'll not be able to hire the right staff, train and deliver what organization expect. Because HR manager's contribution is very much important for the success of the organization, right? And to sustain that success in long run. Then the leadership proficiencies should be a very good leader, right? Leadership qualities are very much important. Then the learning proficiencies, right? Especially for the learning, relearning, unlearning, all those things are very much important, right? learning skills, right? Because should be a fast learner, about the possible changes in an organization as well as novel things to be carried out, right? And the new proficiencies, especially, right? These things are very much important. Especially when the HR manager is working with the staff, should have a very good understanding in relation to the laws governing employment. Right? Managing with the law, right? Especially in relation to the occupational safety, right? As well as health, as well as EPF, ETF gratuity, right? As well as uh, other relevant acts, right? And ordinances, all those things are very much important. And also, especially managing ethics, right? Ethics very much important, right? So those are some sort of managing ethics, right? Very much important. Right. So with all those things, just to conclude this area, especially the initial areas, will be the basic themes, right, that I highlighted so far, right? So HRM is the responsibility of every manager, right? Why is that? Because all the managers are basically handling some sort of employees in their departments, sections, units, branches, groups, or teams in whatever formation. Therefore, each and every manager should have a certain concern about human resource management, right? And should be able to deal with all those people effectively. Therefore, we understand that HRM is the responsibility of every manager, not only to the HRM department. HR department is basically engaged in the professional aspects in relation to managing overall staff, but in the day-to-day operation, all the managers should have some sort of HRM skills, right? This is okay. And HR managers must defend their plans and contributions in measurable terms. Always should have a certain quantitative approaches or some sort of justifiable criterion to measure the success taken. Even in the training, for example, sometimes we have seen that in some of the organizations, the accountants or the finance people are always questioning, right, about the budgets preparing for the trainings. What is the return of training? How you justify? We have spent such an amount for training, but what is the use? So like that, in some of the organizations, finance people are seriously questioning about those things, right? But the truth is, certainly, training is not considered as an expenditure item or a cost. Rather than that, training has to be identified as an investment, right? For the investments, we don't get the returns in short run. And overnight, we cannot get the returns. We have to wait and see patiently to get the returns for the investments. Therefore, when we invest on training and development, the returns will get slowly, because there are certain fast learners in our workforce as well as we have certain slow learners. Different people taking different time frames, right, to learn new things, right, and to be absorbed and to practice and to reflect, right? Therefore, we want to understand that, right? To understand that, therefore, especially from the HR side, right, should be able to, right, have some sort of measurable criteria as well as should be able to define them. And all personal actions and decisions have strategic implications. And all managers rely on information technology in the present context, and virtually every personal decision has some sort of legal implications, right? Therefore, these things are very much important as the basic themes, right, based on the areas so far we discussed. Right. So after finishing that, we want to come to the next topic, right? Especially, 1 second, please. Right. We'll move to the next area. Can you see the screen?
Not yet, sir.
Okay. Now, all right?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. Now we'll come to the important area, most important area, because so far I was in the introductory discussion. Now we want to look at about the HR functions. HR functions, right? So we will discuss, right, at least one today, right, based on the available time. If there's a certain remaining area, we will try to continue from the next day. So like that, especially the key HR functions will be discussed in this lecture series, right? So the first one is, right, now in the job design, I said that we need to design the particular jobs, content of the jobs, right? Based on different techniques, we have to design the jobs. After designing the jobs, we want to analyze the jobs. Job analysis is very much important. Therefore, I would start from the job analysis. Right. Now, under here, I hope to cover this area. At the end of the discussion, right, you will be able to understand, right, the nature of job analysis as well as including what it is and how it's used, and understand collecting job analysis information, including interviews, questionnaires, and observations, etc., as well as describe the components of a well-designed job description. Then describe why job analysis is a basic human resource tool, right? And explain the reasons for conducting job analysis, as well as describe the types of information required for job analysis, as well as describe the various job analysis methods, and explain strategic planning and human resource planning process. Then describe some human resource forecasting techniques, right? In line with this job analysis and HR planning, we will discuss, right? So first we will see some of the definitions about job analysis. Now, what do you understand from the term job analysis? What does it mean? Right? Why we want to analyze the jobs? Why we want to analyze the jobs? Analyze in what? Analyze in what?
Analyzing job as in the HR perspective, sir.
Okay. Analyze in the
So,
job from the HR perspective. Okay.
as in analyzing what skills would be required and
Very good.
what knowledge basis should be needed.
Very good. Very good. Right. Okay. So we want to analyze the content of the job. Content of the job. Right? Why we want to analyze the content of the job? Because we want to have a clear idea about the job, its nature, right? What the job is, what are the different attributes of the job, right? Want to be clear. Each job need to be performed by a certain job holder. When we identify the job holders, we want to have a clear idea about what should be the role of the particular job holder under the respective job. So that role will be basically identified as TDR, the tasks to be carried out, the duties to be performed, and the responsibilities to be fulfilled. Therefore, when we analyze the content of the job, we will get a clear idea about the task to be carried out, the duties to be performed, and the responsibilities to be fulfilled. So the profile of the job can be basically identified when we analyze the job. Certainly in job analysis, what we do, we want to search the information about the job. Therefore, job analysis is a process of information searching. Use these small or simple terms, then you will be able to remember well. Based on that understanding, you will be able to describe. Therefore, rather than going for very serious technical terms, especially in HRM, remembering the concepts and the practices from very small or simple words will be very much easier. Not only for this job analysis, even for the rest, right? Therefore, the terminology or the vocabulary that you are using should be able to use in a simple way, right? That simple terminology or the vocabulary will strengthen your understanding. Therefore, simply job analysis is an information searching process about the job and the job holder. About the job and the job holder. Now, when we analyze the job, I said that we can identify the different parts or the components of the job in terms of the duties, tasks, and the responsibilities to be performed by the particular job holder. Then, to perform those tasks, duties, and responsibilities, the particular job holder should have some sort of capacity, should have a certain knowledge, should have some sort of skill, should have some sort of mindset as job demands. That mindset would be in terms of different types of attitudes, positive attitudes, right? Customer attitudes in terms of customer orientation, like that, as well as should have some sort of specific abilities, right? For example, sometimes communication would be a skill as well as an ability. Leadership is an ability as well as a skill, right? As well as a skill. When we have some sort of abilities are able to further sharpen them as skills. When we take about all those things, knowledge, skills, attitudes, and the abilities together, that will be competence. So we want to identify the competencies required to be performed in the particular job by the job holder. Okay, so this is the whole purpose of job analysis. Therefore, from one side, we want to study about the tasks, duties, and responsibilities to be performed by the particular job holder, and to other side, we want to search information about what should be the particular competencies required to perform the particular job. Based on that, we want to prepare two documents. One is the job description, another one is the job specification. Job description is the particular job profile or the particular duties, tasks, and responsibilities. And the job specification is the particular personal profile. What type of knowledge, skills, and attitudes or the competencies required to possess by the particular job holder. So the purpose of this is ultimately preparing two documents. Therefore, with understanding, we will see what is this job analysis and how to do that. Now, job consists of a group of tasks that must be performed for an organization to achieve its goals. And based on that, we'll have position. Position is a collection of tasks and responsibilities performed by. There is a position. I appreciate if you mute, right? And when you want to talk, you can unmute and talk. Position, that is collection of tasks and responsibilities performed by one person. There's a position for every individual in an organization. Now we know that in jobs, there will be many jobs. They may have similar kind of jobs, but position will be one for the particular job holder, right? And job analysis, it is a systematic process of determining the skills, duties, and knowledge required for performing jobs in an organization. And based on that, there will be two documents, that is job description and the job specification. Job description is the document providing information regarding tasks, duties, and responsibilities of the particular job. And the job specification is basically minimum qualifications to perform a particular job. Therefore, you may be clear about, right, what is a job, what is a position, as well as what is job analysis, as well as job description and the job specification. Right. Now look at Why we want to do this job analysis? Because without having a clear and in-depth job analysis, we will not be able to perform rest of the HR functions. To perform rest of the HR functions, job analysis is a must. It is an essential. Or truly, it's a groundwork. So without that, we are unable to perform rest of the HR functions. Now look at here, right? Now when we do the job analysis, right, we have to identify the particular task, right, duties, and the responsibilities. We basically abbreviate as TDR, tasks, duties, and responsibilities. And these tasks, duties, and responsibilities are basically included in the job description. Job description is simply duty list of duties, right? Unless we can call it as the job profile, right? Then another outcome is job specification. Job specification is the personal profile. It specifies about the requirements that job holder want to possess to perform the given tasks, duties, and responsibilities effectively. Therefore, it may consist in the knowledge, skills, abilities, right, attitudes, right, as well as other attainments, experience, etc. Many more, not only these three, right? Many more. For example, in terms of the academic attainments, GCE, O level, or A level, or undergraduate, or postgraduate, as well as in terms of professional attainments, in terms of ACO, ACA, right? Chartered accountancy, or CIMA, or CMA, right? Whatever, right? Or attorney at law, or banking. So like that, the particular professional qualification will be specified. And also, especially in terms of the age, if there are certain age ranges or age limits, right? So those things will be basically specified there. Therefore, always the requirements will be specified in the job specification. Now, based on these two documents, we have to plan rest of the things. For example, we want to have a clear idea about different jobs. Then only we can do the HR planning. Under HR planning, what we are doing, we have to forecast. We have to think about the future, right? How many vacancies will be created by the end of this year? How many people will be retired? How many people will leave the organization? So we want to understand the retirement, right? Number of people who are going to be retired in the year of 2026. And what is the usual pattern of employee exit or turnover? How many employees usually exit? So we want to have a certain idea. And based on that, how many positions will be vacant? So how we are going to fill them? So we want to have a certain forecasting. Based on the forecasting, we identify the demand. And then we want to think about the supply. So all those things we do based on the ideas that we are taking this job analysis. Then the recruitment. To recruit, you know that we want to design the recruitment messages in an attractive way. Recruitment message, then it comes as the advertisement, online recruitment, right? Or when we are assigned to a certain job agency, right? Unless say that if we are informing to a certain institution as the intents to be taken, right? So we want to design that positions, right? Unless if we are going for the newspaper advertisements, we need that recruitment messages. And then the selection. For that purpose, we want to have a selection criteria. What are the selection methods? Whether it is based on the interview performance or a performance based on the selection test or application evaluation, right? Or whether we want to have a physical fitness test, right? In terms of medical testing, or whether we want to have the referral reports, or whether we want to have the GS, Gram Sevaka, and the police clearance. So there's a criteria to be fulfilled, right? So they will be basically based on the spec. Without the spec, we cannot do them. So we want to have that, right? Then the training and development, right? Now, from the job specification, we know what they possess. And when we interview, we understand what they have. What are the gaps can be identified, right, when they are performing. And based on that, we want to bridge the gap. To bridge the gap, we want to train them when we are going for some sort of changes in the organization. So to identify the training needs or to conduct training needs analysis, we want to think about the job specification, job description, and other data that we collect from the job analysis. Similarly, performance appraisal. We have assigned certain tasks, duties, and responsibilities here. And based on that, we evaluate performance. So for that purpose, right, we want to have this data, performance appraisal. Then the compensation and benefits in terms of reward or pay management, right? In line with the particular qualification, experience, and the job title, we have to put them in the right salary point or the pay scale, etc. And other benefits need to be given. Then the safety and health based on the nature of the work. If it is in a toxic environment or if there are certain work hazards, right, etc. So we need to address them and take necessary measures, right? Then employee and labor relations. Then the legal considerations, right? As well as, right, job analysis for teams, right? Teams for designing high-performing work teams, as I said earlier, or for designing autonomous work teams, right? So you can see that without job analysis, we cannot do these things, right? That's why I said that job analysis is some sort of, right, groundwork, which is essentially important, those informations for the implementation of rest of the HR functions. Okay, right. So you may be clear about that. We will see reasons for conducting job analysis, right? Especially, as I said, for staffing, would be haphazard if recruiter did not know qualifications needed for job, right? Therefore, to face for those things, we want to be informative. To be informative, right, we engage in that information searching process. Once we did that, right, we are well informed, therefore we know, right, how we are going for the staff and decisions. Then the training and development. If a specification lists a particular knowledge, skill, or ability, and the person filling the position does not possess all the necessary qualifications, training or development is needed, right? We can understand the training needs, as I said. And then the compensation and benefits, right? Value of job must be known before, right? Rupee or dollar value can be placed on it, right? So based on the particular, right, competency levels, as well as the job titles or the designations, we have to keep them in the right pay scale and the pay point or the salary points. Then safety and health measures, right, helps identify safety and health considerations, as well as employee and labor relations, lead to more objective human resource decisions. And legal considerations, especially having done job analysis, important for supporting legality of employment practices. Right. Then we'll see the summary of types of data collected through the job analysis. Right? I said that it is a information search and processing. So what type of information that we are gathering from the job analysis? Right? What are them? Work activities and processes, right? Activity records, right? Procedures used, right? Personal responsibility, all those things. Then the worker-oriented activities, right? In terms of the human behaviors, such as physical actions and communicating on the job, right? Elemental motions for methods analysis, right? And the personal job demands, such as energy, right? And the energy consumption, right? So all those things. And the machines used, tools, equipments, and work aids used, right? So all those things need to be identified. Then the job-related tangibles and intangibles, right? Knowledge dealt with or applied, right? As in accounting, right? Some sort of psychological inputs, right? Need to be added, materials processing, right? And the products made or services performed, as well as the work performance, right? With the error analysis, work standards, work measurements, such as time taken for a certain task, right? Especially in the scientific method, we are calculating, right, under the work study, right? And then the job context, right? Work schedule, financial and non-financial incentives, as well as physical working conditions, and then organizational and social context. And then personal requirements for the job, personal attributes such as personality and interest, as well as education and training required, as well as working experience, right? So all those things are some sort of information that we are collecting through the job analysis. Right? Now we will see how to conduct job analysis. Right? The people who participate in job analysis should include, right, at a minimum, the employee will be engaged, the employee's immediate supervisor, as well as other key stakeholders in the organization. Now we will see the right now job description, right, especially job description or the list of duties, right, or the job profile, or like the same sense, right? Include the job title as well as the relevant department section or the unit, as well as the reporting relationship or the reporting channel, as well as and job number or code if there is. And then the job analysis date, right? It's in identifying job changes that would make description obsolete, right? Because time to time we have to analyze the job and we want to update them, right? Then the job summary, right? Concise overview of a job, right? In general, we are given a certain description about the nature of the job. Therefore, as the job summary, then the duties performed, the major duties. What is the duty and the task difference? And how it is related with responsibility. Can someone explain the differences among tasks, duties, and responsibilities? Anyone? Any idea? Earlier I said about tasks, duties, and responsibilities. How we differentiate these things? You can take any example and try to explain.
This is just a hunch answer, sir. I'm just guessing the answer.
All right, no worries.
Task is something that we are required to do and is given to us as employees. Responsibilities is something that we are supposed to complete, or like without a pressure imposed on us. And what was the third thing, sir? Task, responsibilities, and duties. Duties is a mandatory thing that we need to complete in order to finish the goals or something like that.
Okay. Good, very good. Good effort. Any other views? Others can contribute. Anything to be added to what Navina said? Yeah. What are the differences among tasks, duties, and responsibilities? Okay, right, good. Now, all those things are different elements of a job. Different elements of a job, right? Tasks are some sort of smaller activities that you are doing. Now, for example, here, right? Now, today, right, as the facilitator, right, for this session, right, I'm engaged in some sort of task. What I do, I use these PowerPoint slides, right, and I explain you some sort of things, right? I explain some sort of human resource management concepts, right? So that is one of the tasks, right? In the role of lecturing, right? Then I have a duty. And when I have a duty, duties are basically some sort of obligations. I'm obliged to perform duty. Duty would be a set of activities, set of tasks, right? Using the PowerPoint slides, right? In an audible, right, and visible way, I want to clearly explain the principles, concepts, and the best practices of human resource management in an understandable way to all of you. So I have a duty, right? Lecturing in an understandable way. Therefore, that lecturing is one of the duty. And I have a responsibility. The responsibility is the legal and ethical obligation in the particular job. Right? When I accepted a lecture series, I want to join on time and I want to cover a reasonable area in my lecture without talking unnecessary things, focusing on the given theme. I want to do a certain value addition for your enhancement of knowledge in the respective field. I am responsible for that. And from that, I want to prepare you for the examination to earn good grades. Right? So that is the responsibility. For that purpose, from one side, there's a legal obligation as well as there's an ethical obligation. Therefore, responsibilities are a combination of legal and ethical obligations. Duty is a set of tasks or activities to be performed as a part of a job. Task is some sort of small actions that we are performing in a job. Right? Working in the computer, right, would be some sort of task in the systems, right? And duty in relation to preparing some sort of documents, right? Completion of the bank reconciliation, right? Or preparing the trial balance, or preparing the financial statements, right? So like that, when you prepare some sort of sale reports, right? So that would be a duty that you want to engage in that. And from that, you are trying to fulfill the responsibilities. Right? Therefore, when we analyze the jobs, we want to clearly understand this, right? Micromotions, motions, as well as tasks, activities, duties, responsibilities, all those things in a job. And out of them, we are given the prime focus on tasks, duties, and the responsibilities. Task is a small activity, duty is a combination of few tasks or activities, and responsibility is some sort of legal and ethical obligation that job holder needs to be fulfilled through performing the duty. Right? Without performing the duty, the job holder will not be able to fulfill the responsibility. That is the idea. So that's how they are interconnected, right? So duties performed, major duties need to be clearly highlighted. Then the job specification that specifies about the minimum requirements to be performed in the particular job, right? In terms of the academic professional attainments and other things. And then the expanded job description. Sometimes you may have seen that in most of the cases, at the end of the job description, there will be a certain clause, right? Last duty shown and any other duty that may be assigned, by the immediate boss, right? The job description, you can see that as an expanded job description. In some of the organizations don't do that, but in some of the organizations, it will be basically added, right? Additional jobs, right? Beyond the specified ones. So this will be included in the job description, right? Now we will see the job analysis method, right? When we are doing the job analysis, right, we are following different methods, right? Different methods for the collection of data, collection of information. That is the idea, right? Job analysis methods mean that, right? So we can use some sort of questionnaires, right? Preset questionnaire can be used, and from that we can get to know about the particular components of the job, right? As well as the job analysts, right, or the work team of the job analyst can go and do the observations, as well as one-to-one can have some sort of interviews and get the information, and then employee recording can be done in relation to the work to be performed and other things. And also, if it is required, we can have a combination of all those four methods, right? So these are some sort of job analysis methods. And further, we will see in relation to the job analysis, right? The procedure for determining the duties and the skills requirement of a job and the kind of a person who should be hired for that is basically described under the job analysis. Now you can see the here. Look at here. See the process of job analysis. Take around 1 minute and go through this carefully. see what it says. Based on the directions, try to identify the particular process and the relationship. Go through all those boxes. So you can see the sources of data. So from where we are getting the required data, from the job analyst himself or herself, and then the respective employee, as well as the immediate supervisor, right? We can pick the required data, and also methods would be, as I said earlier, the interviews, questionnaires, observations, employee recordings. When the employee has maintained certain records, we can go through the particular records as office diary, etc. Right? That's why we are giving office diaries. Why we are giving office diaries? Right? So to do as well as what's done and should have been recorded properly as a logbook, right? And the DOT, Dictionary of Organizational Titles, right? Dot also can be used, right, as a method, right? Because in this Dictionary of Organizational Titles explain, right, about each job title in an organization, right? And the duties and responsibilities need to be performed. So based on this source of data as well as following the particular methods, we can collect the data, right? And the job data would be in relation to the task, performance standards, responsibilities to be fulfilled, knowledge required, skills required, experience needed, and the job context, right? What is the particular department, section, unit, or the team, or the field, whatever place, context, right? And then the duties and the equipments, right? Tools, machines, other accessories needed to perform, right? Will be basically those related data, right? And based on that, based on this data, we are preparing two documents. I said one is job description or the job profile. It consists in duties, tasks, and responsibilities. Another one is the personal profile. Personal profile refers to the job specification, and it consists in skills required, physical demands in terms of the chest, height, etc. If it is required to specify, like in forces or police recruitments, etc., then the knowledge requirements, then the abilities needed. Okay, now these two documents mean the content of these documents will be important for these functions, right? Without the information from these two documents, will not be able to function these HR functions. Recruitments, selections, training and development, performance appraisals, and the compensation management. Like this, especially remember these kind of small models, flowcharts, right? Then easily you will be able to remember the process. Okay, is it clear? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Right. Now, when we write the job descriptions, right, sections of typical job description can be seen like this. Job identification based on the job title or the designation, right? Name of the job. Then should have a certain job summary, giving a certain precise description about the nature of the job, right? Then the responsibilities and duties, then the limits of authority, right? Limits of authority, right? in terms of recommendations, approvals, authorizations, etc. Then standards of performance to be maintained. Then the working conditions, right? Then the job specifications, right? Then all those things are basically some sort of components. This is how it will consist. Job title, preparation, date, right? Prepared by whom, right? Then the job summary, general nature of the job, major functions and activities to be performed, right? Then communication channels, right? Reporting channels, right? So to whom you are reporting and who will be supervised, and the workmates, the co-workers, right? And outside the company, if it is required to perform in the field, etc., then all those things will be mentioned. Then responsibilities and duties, major responsibilities and duties, especially essential functions and the decision-making authority and the direct supervision. Then the budgetary limitations, there are the standard of performance and working conditions, and what it takes to the job successfully. Right now, all of you may have these kind of documents, right? Have you got job description? You may have seen that definitely, right? Unless in each organization, each and every employee should have a job description. Then the next one is personal specification, right? Personal specification or the job specification. Look at job specification. Roger is one of the advocate, right, who has contributed, right, for the development of these job specifications, right? So Roger has suggested, right, some sort of points to be consistent in the job specification. That's why it was referred here, right? So in terms of the physical makeup, that is in terms of the health, right? Physical appearance in terms of the height, weight, right? Chest, so etc. Right? If as relevant to the particular job, right? And the bearing and speech, right? Oral skills, the communication skills, right? Then the attainments in terms of education, qualifications, and the experience. Then the general intelligence, right? Basically, you may have seen that it is testing about the IQ, right? IQ, intellectual capacity, intellectuality, analytical skills, etc. Then the special aptitudes, right? Mechanical, manual, dexterity, right? Then the interest, right? Physically active, social, artistic, etc. Then the disposition, right? In terms of the character, right? And the acceptability, influence over others in terms of leadership, etc. Then the dependability, then the circumstances, any special demand of the job, such as extensive traveling, if it is field-related work, outstation visits, etc., if there are, and also if it is required to work for late hours regularly, right, work in late hours. So all those things should be basically included in the job specification, right, or the personal specification or personal profile according to the job, right? So the content would be different. These are some sort of areas or aspects that we want to be considered when we prepare the personal specification, right? Oh, let me give a small question, right, as a self-assessment activity. Look at here. Look at this question, please. Job analysis or useless exercise in a world where the job is changing continuously. Now jobs are getting changed. Titles are getting changed. The contents of a job is getting changed due to different kinds of environmental influences. As I said earlier, especially with the development of this advanced technology, IT, AI, etc., right? Work modes, work methods, the required skills are getting changed. Not like in the past, now digital literacy, digital skills, digital marketing, right? So all those things are very much important, right? Now, IT literacy or computing skills have become an essential, not as an added qualification. They are essentials, right? They have become a soft skill which essentially needed to perform in whatever the job, right? And the social media knowledge or the literacy. So all those things are very much important, right? Therefore, as a result of that, right, some of the people may argue that job analysis becomes a fruitless or useless exercise in a world where the job is changing continuously, right? Try to critically evaluate the said statement, right? And what are the solutions? What are solutions? So do we want to stop job analysis or do we want to continue? If we want to continue, how it should be conducted in a continuously changing organizational environment or in a dynamic environment. Just think for a while. Does the time support? Yeah, sufficient. It's okay. 4:27. At least one or two can comment. Would you agree with this statement or disagree?
Agree.
Agree. Okay. Then you have to justify why you agree.
Because in the industry, there's a rapid changes. So to compete that rapid changes, employ the first hand who make the decision where we need to change.
Okay.
So at that time, they need to know how to change, how to act. To do such a thing, they have a training. They need some, attend to some events. So then only they can know the how to, what are the new features available in market, how to solve that advice. That is my answer.
Okay, okay, good idea, good effort. Right, other views? Other views? So he was agreed with the given statement. He said that that is fruitless, right, or useless. And his argument or the points were basically supporting for that. Good attempt. Any other views?
Kind of partially agreed, sir.
Partially agreed, partially disagreed. Okay,
yes.
you can comment. You can defend your position. Justify.
So why I not agree is so why I agree is the previous one said as well it's rapidly changing. So most of the employees are not like to be in a rigid in the job structure, so they need the flexibility.
Okay.
So in that case, it may be fruitless, but in other hand, still we need to have that recruitment and selection and the performance evaluation and the training and things, roles and responsibility, everything. Even though these changes continuously happen, those things still need in a job role.
Of
So
course.
yeah, for an organization, those things still we can't avoid. That's my.
That's right. Okay, okay. Good, very good. Right. Any other points? Any other comments? Yeah. Any other comments? Feel free to talk. Feel free to talk.
Yeah. I also kind of partially agree on this statement.
Partially agreed. Not
yeah,
fully
as in
agreed.
like, no, this is, it's more like a disagreed to partially agreed statement for me.
That's right. Okay. So how you justify your position?
So job analysis happens on an employee perspective. I'm talking from an employee perspective, is to enhance themselves, career growth, financial independence. So I think job analysis happens in a way where they themselves start working on matching the standard in what they need.
Okay.
So their way of them analyzing, the workforce or the job description on what they want, kind of grows along with the search.
Okay.
So it kind of they can land in a place where they are, capable on handling it or
Mhm.
getting things done.
Okay.
So it's not entirely fruitless.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that was my comment on it.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much. Right. So certainly we are unable to agree with the given statement, right? So we have to disagree. The reason is we know that the environment is continuously changing. No one can stop it, right? Therefore, for the continuing changes in the environment, we as the organization need to be adjusted, right? So that is what basically required, right? That is what required, but unfortunately, right, in the human resource management, we know that job analysis is a must. Job analysis is a must. It is an essential. Therefore, job analysis methods, right, need to be changed, need to be amended, need to be improved according to the current changes in the environment. As I said earlier, right, so novel methods have to be used, as well as especially according to the current context, the changes need to be adapted or incorporated to the job analysis process. For example, if we take about the mode of work, as well as the necessary skills have getting changed. As a result of that, they want to be incorporated to the particular job analysis process. Therefore, job analysis cannot be stopped, it cannot be eliminated, but we want to respond for the environmental changes. For that purpose, we want to change the process of job analysis and the methods. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Okay, then thanks very much for the active engagement today. So from the point where we stop today, we are starting on next day, right? Thank you so much for the active engagement today.
Thank you so much,
I
sir.
will upload the
Yes.
recording at the earliest. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Okay. Have a good day
Thank
to
you,
all.
Thank you, sir.